We are live officially. If you're here joining us live, please say hello. Hello, hello. I am here with the amazing Anca. This is going to be an incredible interview. I cannot wait. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Facebook user. Hey, Ann. Hey, Juliana. We'll just give it a couple of seconds to get everyone on here who wants to join. And I know people join throughout the broadcast also. Let us know where you're joining from. And if you got your 10 items out today, drop it into the comments. If you've successfully gotten your 10 items out today, stops the flow in. And if this is your first boot camp or reboot with us, let us know. Hi, Susan. Hi, Sue. Hey, Ari. Hi, Amy. How are you guys? Now, listen, as you're listening to Anca talk, hello from Michigan. As you're listening to Anca talk, I want you, when she says something that you're like, man, that's amazing, let's have some thumbs up and some hearts. Okay, this is, I keep forgetting to say this in the beginning, but I'm saying it now. I want some reactions. Good job, Juliana, getting 11 things out. That is awesome. All right, so without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Anca. Anca is a clutter boss. She is a clutter coach in training. She is incredible, and she has so many decluttering life lessons to share with us. So Anca, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this. I feel like I want to say a million things like every time we do something like this. And I probably will. And they're going to be all over the place, but I'm sure something I say will resonate with you guys. So a little bit about me. I am Romanian. I am a mom of two, homeschooling, like old school homeschooling, where I'm their teacher. And I am married for almost 15 years this year, and it's getting better. It wasn't bad, but it's getting better.
Anca, I feel the same way. I'm on year 16 and like we're finally like hitting our groove, I think.
Right. Like we're finally, like I say things to him like, okay, we're at year 15, start learning. This is not changing. This part of me is not changing. But it's good. It's a learning process, which is exactly what decluttering has been for me. Decluttering has not just been decluttering my house, it's been a rediscovery of myself, not necessarily reinventing. In some ways I have, I believe, but it's definitely been like the most intense personal discovery I've ever done. And I didn't expect that. And I don't know if Jess puts that on, any of her ads, that not only is there like 100% cry rate, but like you're going to discover things you had no idea about. And it's been amazing. It's been so hard, but so worth it. Like everything I've done, I've cried so many times I can't recall. I've filled more journals than I've ever filled in like a year's worth of time. And I've also grown more than I think I've ever grown in this amount of time as well. So it's an amazing journey, but it's what you put into it. And you guys just got to keep going. It's hard. It's still hard for me. I still get stuck. I still have stuff that like I don't get why I get stuck. And I've learned that for me, that means I need to take a break from it. I need to like go journal. I need to go do something else till it becomes clear to me what's next with them. Is it I'm talking about my books again, Jess. those books I keep holding. Some of them are going to go actually, but it's still, step by step. And it's learning what works for me and being open to trying new things. I've tried so many things that when you first said to me, like, envision my space decluttered, I was like, okay, yeah, that's like crazy. What's that going to do? Turns out it does a whole lot more if you're willing to do it over and over and over, because then you start wanting your space to look like the image in your head. And it's blown me away that actually works. Other things that have worked for me is not focusing on what my husband is bringing in, what my husband is doing, what my kids are doing to like delay the process, clutter up the house, and, all that they're doing wrong is what I used to think. I started this journey for me and I decided I'm not focusing on them at all. It's simply if I get my stuff, he said it today, his stuff is my stuff and my stuff is my stuff. So if I get my stuff in order, we're good. At least I've made that much progress. And that's how I started this out. I decided I was so overwhelmed with the toys, the clothes, the everything, books. I had a lot of decor because I used to do party planning and I felt like I needed to keep everything. And even though I wasn't doing as many parties, I had so much wedding stuff and I decided a long time ago I didn't want to do weddings anymore, but I didn't let go of the stuff because what if? And just in case were huge, um, they would stop all the time. Like I could think of a million. I could use like a 4 foot tall vase when I didn't need a 4 feet tall vase in my house or other decor.
Oh, this, you know what? This is maybe a little more bit intimate and cozy. So this might end up being our best interview we've ever done. All right, everyone's joining. Okay, Anca, I'm going to give the floor back over to you and I'll just keep admitting people.
Okay, so where did you guys catch my journey up to where I started boot camp?
Yep.
Okay, so then I'm gonna give you a little more what I came to recognize as to what were stumbling blocks, which were from my childhood, the way I was brought up, which I didn't realize probably until maybe like halfway through. I didn't know why I had such a strong attachment to my things and why I had such a hard time letting go and constantly feeling stuck. And like I had really good things and I was being wasteful. I was being ungrateful. I just all sorts of things. And I realized it was because of the way I was brought up. We came from Romania when I was very young, and my parents came with 4 suitcases. So we started off from the beginning with what they could fit in those 4 suitcases, and slowly getting what we needed and making do with what we had. But there was, because we had very little to start off with, there was a high amount of pressure put on us to preserve what we had and keep it for ever or as long as we possibly could. So I remember like I outgrew a pair of shoes and instead of donating it, it went back in the closet. And I think back now and I'm like, what was like worst case scenario? I was going to fit into small shoes that no longer fit me. Like how would I have used those again? But that was like, I think it was, we got stuck in, you save everything. Like what you just didn't question it anymore. And if I fell and broke my jeans, I was, in trouble for breaking the jeans, not asked, hey, are you okay first? So it helped me realize that it was largely the way I was brought up, that there was this like insane amount of like importance put on things. And I constantly now I say to my kids, like, people matter more than things. I don't want you to like, live in that fear. I think I was brought up in. Yeah, I like my things and I don't want you to break them, but like, I'm not going to be super mad at you if you make a mistake and break my things. I can get you things. I can't, buy you new feelings or I could buy therapy, but that's not how I want to do it. So it was realizing that growing up, there was just way too much importance or value put on things and not on people. And it shifted things out of balance for me. And so I thought that if I had good things, that would kind of make me happy or kind of bring some sort of satisfaction, which it didn't. It was such a false sense of like security and just everything. So shifting from that and starting to analyze these things and what I did keep and what I didn't need, and um, allowing myself to just look at things from a new perspective and not just based on what I naturally felt, because what I naturally felt was to hold on to a lot of stuff. And I realized I didn't actually want a lot of stuff. I realized that I had too much for the amount of time I wanted to devote to my things. And I wanted my things to support my life or improve my life, not, be a hurdle constantly that was causing me to feel overwhelmed all the time. And I didn't realize, because it got out of balance. I had too much stuff for the amount of time I could devote to the stuff. And so I had to kind of just stop and take inventory of all the stuff. And I realized I saved everything. I mean, like, I found all of my college papers, every single one of them. I had to start going through them, and I still have some that I kept because I was more like trophies now. Like, I wrote that, I had all the brain cells to write this paper. And, now I'm keeping it more as proof than anything else. But I mean, I've got a folder, not for huge storage boxes anymore. So it's been a journey of looking at my things in a way and asking myself what Jess always says: are they supporting my life, or are they getting in the way of the life I want to live? And that was a really hard question at the beginning, because I didn't know myself as well, and I didn't know what I wanted. So it was a mix of working through the clutter, physical clutter and the emotional clutter. And through that, I was able to get to know myself better. And I allowed myself, like, I stopped judging what I think I should think about something. And I just allowed myself to be who I am and think what I am, what I want. And I realized a lot of the stuff I had, even though it was really good stuff, really whatever, it was not me. And so I had to let go of a lot of good stuff. And there were a lot of tears involved in this process. And even now, I just got rid of my desk that I've had for 21 years. And I called my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, I'm finally letting go. Do you want the desk?" She, of course, guilted me over it and said, "Oh, but it's such a good desk. Of course, you're getting rid of it." And I said, "I am. Do you want it?" I bought a new desk. And so the old desk is in our living room right now. And I every time I pass by it, I think, oh man, it's such a good desk. Like, the functionality of that desk is better than this one, but it doesn't match my office. It doesn't match my style, and it's too big. And when actually, it's the same size as this, but it just looks bulkier because it's got more drawers, and it doesn't fit as well. And so it's still a process for me, but I know that's not me. And it's taken me this long to buy this desk, even though I've had the shelves in my bookcase in my office for 5 years. I've been looking for a desk and like fighting this, and I got the matching desk, and it's just crazy to me. But it is an amazing journey if you work through it, if you just keep at it, even when it doesn't make sense. Take a break. Don't put extra pressure on yourself. When you feel stuck, you have to pay attention to those feelings. You have to figure out what it is that's making you feel that way. For me, it was extra pressure on myself, or that I just needed a break. I needed to spend time doing things I enjoyed. I needed to spend time relaxing and not focusing on those things anymore. And then when I gave them a break, I moved on to something easy again. I realized usually I was moving to something that was still too hard for me. So I had to take a step back and just move on to easy. So easy was filling up the trash can every week, or the recycle bin with papers I no longer needed. Or I discovered I hate plastic bins, and those bins that come in, like, I don't know, the ones that you can stack to the ceiling. I hate those. So I had to eliminate those. And through eliminating those, I got to see what I stored in those. And I realized I had so much stuff I completely lost track of. And those decisions were easy. I hadn't touched those things in years. They could go. And that was a process of rebuilding up my decluttering muscles. And then I eventually, like, it went in waves. I eventually got to the harder stuff. And then I had to take a break from hard stuff again and move on. And that's just what worked for me. Like, I had to recognize that I can't declutter for 6 hours every week. I I need to do bigger ones when I have the motivation, when I have the clarity, when I'm not feeling stuck. And when I'm that way, go for it, and realize when I'm not able to handle anymore, and just give myself permission to stop, clean up after I've made what looks like a bomb went off in my house as well as I can for a few minutes, and then go back at it again the next time I'm up for it. But I had to give myself breaks. Like, now I give myself the weekend. I don't like insist on decluttering unless I feel like it. And if I feel like it, great. And if I don't, that's fine. But I've been a lot more successful by allowing myself the breaks, and not working on it just because I felt pressured or because I was comparing myself to what I would see other people do. So that's what's worked for me. What I want to encourage you guys to do is keep figuring out what does work for you. Try new methods. Try, filling up your garbage cans. Try filling up your trunk to go to Goodwill. That's what works for me. The box a day didn't work for me because I need breaks. But I love that idea that Marie does. What works for me is when I get motivated, I fill up my trunk. When the trunk is full, I go to Goodwill, I drop it off, and I move on. What also works for me is cleaning up. When I don't know what to do, I wash the dishes. While I'm washing the dishes, I can see things that need to leave or get picked up further. So then I move on to picking up for a little bit. And as I'm picking up, instead of just picking up and putting things away, I am now questioning everything. I look at my drawers and I look, okay, when's the last time I used these things? I went through my tea drawer recently because I like tea, but I realized I don't like to have a million options. I thought I did, and that's what also contributed to my problem. I thought I wanted my house to look like a store. I wanted my craft room to be like Michael's. I wanted my pantry to be like a grocery store. And what that led to was just decision fatigue. And I was completely overwhelmed, and I was not using this stuff. I have less stuff now. I'm using it better. And I can tell, hey, I haven't, drank this tea because I put it in there hoping I'd be healthier than I actually am. And it's disgusting, and I'm not there yet. So for now, it needs to go. And, when I get better on drinking gross teas, I might reintroduce it, or I might just know myself that I'm not going to drink this tea. So it's a matter of learning what I do like and allowing that to be, and finding what works for me. Like, gross tea doesn't work for me, but I'll eat a salad and I'll drink a green smoothie instead. So, I don't have to do everything. I just have to figure out what works for me, and whatever works for you, like, don't fight it. Cause I did that for so long. I just thought, oh, but this is like what it should be. This is what I should be doing. Well, it didn't help me get to where I actually should be. Where I should be is unique for me, and what you should be doing is unique to you. So you got to learn yourself in the process, and learn when to stop, when to let go, and when to reassess, and be honest about who you are, not about who you should be. So I also want to talk about my clothes.
Wait, Anca, can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Oh, you're saying so many awesome things here. Okay, before you talk about your clothing, I am so curious. You are talking about breaking a pattern of generational identity that is so strong in your family, like becoming the independent Anca who is not identifying with how you learned through generations of repeated actions. So for people who are struggling with that, figuring out who they are, unlearning what they were taught from their parents and their grandparents and all the experiences that were passed down to them, what advice do you have for them? How do you do you remember the moment when you were like, this is me, not my family? Like, can you just talk more about that? Because that's such a huge, huge thing.
So the voice in my head used to be my mom. And I didn't realize it was my mom until you replaced it. And then I replaced it, which was so interesting. But you're still there, and I still hear my mom. And now I can differentiate and be like, okay, mom, thanks, but that's not what I want. And you're on the other side. You're like devil's advocate, saying it's okay to let it go. It's okay not to do that. It's just, permission to be who I am. So it was really hard because, and it still is, my mom still gives me grief. She still guilts me over all the things I'm letting go of, as if I'm like, I don't know, completely wasting them. But I'm not. Like, I'm making the effort that I'm able to make. I gave up on rehoming things perfectly because that was part of it. Like, she's like, oh, but you have to give this to the person in most need. And that was a new hurdle for me. So I was like, no, I'm giving it to Goodwill. I think whoever needs it will find it. And if not, I can't consume myself with that. So it's still a battle for me. It is not like one and done. It took a lot of courage to say, I don't want these things in my home anymore. And she is the type of person who comes and notices all the changes I've made. And she will say, wow, you've thrown out a lot of things I've given you. And I will say, I have, because they don't fit my life right now, but I love you more than those things. So it's reassuring her that those things aren't what matter. And she doesn't get it yet. And I don't know that she will, but that's not for me to do for her. I need to do for me what I need to do for me. And I hope she gets there, and I hope she understands that the stuff isn't as important, but it's working through those really hard emotions and being willing to have those conversations of, I love you more than the stuff, but the stuff is really getting in my way. So it's constant. It's constant because it still comes up for me too. But
That's amazing.
I hope that, does that give insight?
Yes. Yes, that is, and there's like men in my house screaming right now. So just ignore that background noise. But that is absolutely incredible, because you have to actually fight the wave that's coming, that's been ingrained in you for so long, and just keep reassuring the other people in your life that you love them. And that's the most important thing, is the people, not the things. I think that's like absolutely a beautiful answer. And it's hilarious that you have me here and your mom here.
It really is, though.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Does anyone have any questions about this topic for Anca before we move on? There were a bunch of things in the comments. Let me just scroll back up here. Oh man, you got a lot of questions. Okay, do you ever get judgy comments? This is from Denise. Do you ever get judgy comments from your husband or family members? We kind of covered that a little bit. And if so, or if ever in the past, how do you or would you handle it? So we kind of talked through that, but if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, so my husband still feels the need to keep stuff that I wouldn't keep. And for me, I had to set a threshold of let's say $20. I would be willing to let go of an item if it cost up to $20 and I could find it relatively easily. And so he's recently gotten rid of a few things where he's like, oh, I needed that. But it was a $5 wrench that when he needed, he went and bought it. And I was like, well, you'll have to forgive me, but we have a lot more space. So, I'd rather have the space than the stuff. And I keep saying that. It's so much better to have the room, to know where your things are, to not feel overwhelmed when, I've turned my house upside down with the office change. And that's okay, because I know it's going to take this week to put it back together. It won't take me a month to like move everything, because I can see what I have now. It's not like I just made an avalanche of papers like I did before. So it's a process, but it's step by step. And it's like you make a little progress in one area, and then you make progress in another area, and they start to connect. Like I started with my bathroom, and I cleared out the obvious things I wasn't using. And then the next day I had like extra time after I got ready. So then I went to my closet, which was full of clothes that didn't fit me. And that extra time got used up by trying things that didn't fit me. And instead of putting those things back in the closet, I put them in a donate pile so that I wouldn't like repeat the cycle of craziness. So it was just, if you'll just observe what you're doing and what isn't working, and instead of putting those things back, like the pens that don't work, don't put them back in your like pen jar, put them in the garbage. Don't put your skinny jeans that you can't get up your legs back in your closet. It's time to let those go. They're not going to fit you in the near future, so you don't need them hanging around telling you how skinny you are not anymore. Let them go and let them find the skinny person that fits them.
Anca, I loved you made a comment on a Clutter Boss call recently where you said, I haven't been naked yet.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband would like it to be otherwise, but I've decluttered so many clothes. Like I just didn't realize how many skinny clothes I was holding on to, and how many gaps I had in my closet. It really is amazing. That I wasn't naked. Like I was down to like one pair of jeans and like 3 t-shirts. I'm like, man, what's going on here? So I've bought some clothes since, because when you declutter, you can see what actually fits. And this is another thing I want to say. Decluttering is like self-care, because when I decluttered those skinny clothes, I could see I had 3 shirts and 1 pair of jeans. And I could see, hey, I need more shirts and more jeans that are real options for every day. I don't want clothes that aren't comfortable. That's where I'm at right now. They have to be easy to maintain. And I have to have a closet full of real options. I want a pantry full of real food options. I want a freezer full of real food options. And all that other stuff is just getting in my way. And that's what I'm wanting to encourage you guys to go after, the stuff that isn't real options. It's not helping you. You don't need the backups. You don't need the bulk. You need to be able to go into your closet and find pieces you love, and go into your pantry and find healthy options you enjoy eating, not disgusting tea that, it's not you. That's okay. Let it go. Don't feel any more guilt over it. Like just let those feelings go along with the stuff, and it gets easier. It's like the gratitude of what I do have has also helped me overcome those strong feelings of guilt. And they've gone a long way in other ways. Like I think that's why I've been able to grow so much through this process, is the gratitude of what I do have, and what, like the opportunity. I can go and buy new jeans. I can go and get these things. I'm not in a situation like my parents were, my grandparents were, where you couldn't find this stuff. We can find the stuff. It may take time. It's taking me more time because I want things that reflect me now. So I'm more picky, and that's okay. But it's recognizing these things and not fighting yourself so much. At least for me, that was a big part of it. So that's where I'm at. I figured out so many more things that I enjoy, and so many things that I want to try out, but I'm not buying those things until I'm ready to do it. Like there were a lot of things I had to let go because I bought them and I didn't have the time for them. And so it was also hard letting go of new things that didn't actually fit into the amount of time I had, or were not things I was actually interested in. I thought I was. And so I bought fabric and all this stuff because I was going to sew my kids' baby clothes as when they were newborns. That was the thought. And I was like, what was I thinking? But in my defense, I bought those when I was pregnant, before I actually knew how much or how you don't have time after you have a newborn. So, 10 years later, it was time to let go of that fabric and those sewing books that I never picked up. And that's okay. Someone else got them and didn't make baby clothes out of them. Whatever she made, it was great. We moved on. Let your stuff go, guys. It's not.
One of my favorite, like one thing that I think all the time when I'm working with people, and what it's one of my favorite things that you have just said is, some people come into this process kicking and screaming and just standing in their own way. And I know, like, we are our own worst enemies. But if you can take a little tidbit from Anca, who is freaking amazing, as you guys can see here, if you can take this tidbit and stop fighting yourself and start fighting for yourself, take that and fight for yourself, and take all of that energy that you're putting into standing in your own way and just put it in the direction of fighting for yourself, because you are so worth it. You are so worth it. And Anca really has embraced that. When did you start boot camp, Anca? Like maybe a year ago?
Yeah, exactly a year ago, I started boot camp. And it also made me realize I wasn't prioritizing myself. So that's what really drew me in with your title. I was like, whoa, like I've been prioritizing my husband, my kids, everything else, everyone else around me, and not myself. And it wore me out. Like it got me to a place where I just didn't want to do like anything. And I didn't know. I felt overwhelmed by everything. So I was not in a good place. I had a lot of good stuff, but it wasn't helping me. So that's also where, I talk about anger purging. It took some anger to like look at the stuff and realize that stuff isn't worth my time and I need to stop overthinking it. So it's when, the stuff is up to here and you've had it up to here and you start going after it. And it took some of that to get the ball rolling, but it definitely is a snowball effect. Like I said, one area helped propel me into the next area. And then when, they start connecting, the dots start connecting, and it frees you up and you have time to plan the things that you actually want. And, I'm planning healthy meals, I'm batch cooking, I'm exercising way more than I was. I'm spending so much more time on myself that it blows my mind how I'm doing all these things now. It's not taking me as long, even when I create a mess in the house, or not me, when the house gets messy, when it builds up, I have a plan of attack, and it's not overwhelming. It may initially be, but I realized, hey, it's going to take some time. That's okay. I don't have to feed into those overwhelming feelings. I can just take it bit by bit. If nothing else, I can give everyone their chores, and I can say, hey, you're handling this for now. We're all going to work on this. This is what we're doing for 20 minutes till it gets better. And we might need to do 20 more. And it is what it is. Like, we all live here. We're all going to do more. So it's putting things in a different direction to make it work better for all of us. And because my kids have seen that it does work better for all of us, my son was really great about decluttering. Once he could see a little bit of improvement, he was willing to declutter some more with me. And he was probably the one whose room we got done first. And he loves it. And he's like, oh, I should be on your interview with you and encourage the other kids that it's okay to let go of your things that you're not using because they're not benefiting you. So it's really great when it does start to come together. And it's also surprising. Like, I remember when it first started to like connect, and I'm like, oh, I have half an hour like all to myself. Like, I can go take a bath in silence and like not trip over any toys on the way to the bathtub. So, and taking that time for myself and, putting myself first was just almost brand new to me.
So, I mean, okay, Anca, this is like incredible. There's so many things that you're saying that I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. One of the most important things I think is that the goal here is not to have a picture perfect house 100% of the time. because that does not exist. That is a figment of everyone's imagination. And in Clutter Boss Academy, I am often like showing the disaster that I'm dealing with. But the thing is that I can clean it up really quickly because everything has a home and it's so easy. There's no juggling or moving things around. And that's exactly what you're saying too. Like the goal is to just have an easier life, not
Yes.
perfect, just easy. Like how to handle anything that life throws at you because you have mental space, you have physical space, your relationships are much more solid because you know how to have difficult conversations. It just makes life easier. And that's like, I love that. I love that you're saying that.
By the way, I still want a picture perfect house. I want my house to look like a magazine. That is who I am. A Pottery Barn magazine is what I want my house to look like. So I have more things and more decor than you have, and that's who I am. And I'm willing to put the extra effort. But does it always look picture perfect? No, I have a big old pile on my floor right now that you all can't see that I need to get to, but that's okay. When I'm done with it, it'll look closer to my Pottery Barn image when I'm done with it. And who knows, maybe later in the journey, I'll discover I don't want Pottery Barn. I want, less Pottery Barn, less things to have. And that's the crazy part. I've discovered how much I actually don't want as much stuff. I want less of everything stuff wise, and I want more time. And more time spending it with people, not on the stuff.
Right. Why every single thing in your house, you have to decide that you're going to give your life to it, your time in your life, every single thing. I mean, when my kids come home with like free stuff, I freak out because I'm like, that's my time that you're stealing. Don't you care about my time? I so resonate with that.
Yeah, my husband loves the free stuff. My kids now know it's garbage and they know to say no thank you. My mom doesn't want us to bring this home, and I'm totally okay with that. Like
there's some questions in here about anger purging. Denise says, can you talk more about that? Anca is our like anger purger. Anca and Juliana like love to anger purge. It's a strategy.
So sometimes before, I used to do this a lot more before. When I used to get mad, I used to clean. Now I declutter. I don't know what that says about me and my, emotional side, but it's getting mad at the stuff and doing something about it. And it totally works for me because I'm not just shuffling things around anymore. I'm recognizing, hey, this is getting in my way. It's gotten in my way so many times up until now. It's time to do something about it. And that I use that energy to declutter. And I always like declutter so much more when I do that than when I'm just like taking inventory. So when I feel that, I totally like do a round of anger purging. Sometimes I fill up the garbage. I've had times when I've asked the neighbors if I could fill up their garbage can too. Whatever works, just be aware of what works for you. Be willing to try new things, and you'll be amazed at like how you make progress and when you make progress. And I also declutter those anger or feelings of anger in the meantime, and recognize that it's not about what I thought it was. So I don't know. I think I need to be busy when I work through my emotions. I know this is like commonly a thing for boys. My brain might be wired that way, and that's okay. But it totally works for me. It helps get my mind off of what I thought I was angry at.
I love Rachel says, I think I need to get angry more often.
Oh, and I'm a lot less angry. I haven't done an anger purge since my daughter's room. Okay, so it's still less often.
So I have another question for you, and you guys can totally drop your comments or just unmute yourself and ask Anca a question because we are at the Q&A part here. But Anca has gotten rid of a ton of stuff, like seriously, a lot of stuff. And Anca also lives in Florida. So my question for you is, do you feel more prepared for a natural disaster or less prepared now? Because we tend to stock up for like natural disasters, and Florida gets tons of hurricanes and stuff. So what are your thoughts on like preparedness and stuff?
So I'm a lot more prepared now. Like I went through a checklist of what is recommended for emergency preparedness. And I realized this list is put together by maybe someone who might have some hoarding tendencies, because that list does not work for me. Like, I am not going to stockpile my garage full of food I do not want to eat. That doesn't work for me. What works for me is having a reasonable amount of bottled water. It's in a space in our laundry room where we don't need that space. And then I have plenty of food. I have 2 refrigerators, so I have plenty of food in case a hurricane hits. Like, I don't know, it would last me over a week, and I'm okay with what I have. And when there's a hurricane, people end up you buy so much more. Unfortunately, the last time, I don't know that I will this time, you buy more than what you need, and everybody does, and everybody has so much food. So you really don't need to stock up on like the insane amount of food that we did. My mom and my sister also have more food than anybody I know. So, if anything happens, I'll have to head over to their house. But it's again, I wanted to have real options. So just because they say to have, 20 cans of canned tuna doesn't mean I want to have 20 cans of canned tuna. I want to have freezer meals in my freezer, like chili and other foods that I enjoy, that I can defrost and, eat, not what they say I should have. So again, making it to what we like to eat and our comfort level. My husband likes to have more than I would keep, because I've realized the last true hurricane we had was so many years ago. I mean, big hurricane. And we survived. We might have eaten hot dogs for 4 days and Spam. We all survived. We all had food. It wasn't our favorite. It was okay. So yes, I have a generator. We do have like batteries, we have radios, we have landline. We are prepared as far as what we can do, I would say.
We have a generator too, and we don't live in a hurricane zone. Who has a question for Anca, or who wants to share with Anca what was really impactful from this whole incredible interview? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have something to share.
Hey, Jess, it's Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. I think what really hit me, because I struggled with this and I talked to Colleen about it a little bit, was just all the craft stuff that I thought that I wanted to do. Like she said, she bought the fabric to make baby clothes when she was pregnant and realized she didn't have any time. Or something that I did for a very short period of time, and I still have all the stuff, and I have such a hard time letting go of that. And, I'm hearing what she says, just get rid of it, and the whole food thing with my mom, oh my gosh, she's one person, and like, why do they live like that? They just have so much, like they're never gonna use it. So I don't know, she's just said a lot of things that have really hit me, that just making me look at my clutter a different way. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comment, Susan.
Hey, Anca, it's Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hey, she was great, because Anca actually was a person who reached out to me before I joined CBA and just said, because I think she and I might have done boot camp together way back.
Yeah.
And that was part, so thank you for that, because that was part of the motivation. One thing I noticed, and I didn't know you, I don't really know you at all, but the way you spoke in this interview is like with such conviction and self-assuredness. And I have a girlfriend who joined CBA before I did, and I heard it in her too at the time. And now to hear it from you, I'm like, oh my goodness, like that's definitely, do you feel that within you, or is that something you're conscious of? Because it makes me think like, maybe I just need to start like being more assertive, and the rest will kind of perhaps follow a little bit. Do you notice a difference for you?
Right. Yes. So for me, like Jess keeps saying it's time to do, what is it, Jess? A video,
Before,
graduation type video.
yes, we need to graduate you. We need your transition video, your transformation.
Right. So here's the thing for me, even though, yes, there are physical, like obvious physical differences, I didn't take pictures of them because I'm so good at being like, oh, this won't be a big deal. Like, I'm just going to declutter a little bit. 15 minutes later, like I've transformed the space and I'm like, why didn't I take a picture? But there is that. So yes, my space is different, but for me, like I really think it's like, but the thing that's the biggest difference is me. The biggest changes are how I'm able to say these things, how I'm able to recognize them. And I would ask my friends, do you see a difference in me? Like, can you tell? Like, is it just all up in my head? Or like, can you actually tell that I'm different? And like everyone says, without a doubt, they're like, yes, you're so much more confident. You're so much more like you said, self-assured. And I'm like, really? Like, it's like I can see it, but then I'm like doubting it, you know? But I know, like, I know I'm totally different. I see things totally different. I'm more like at ease with who I am. I'm not like fighting myself all the time. And I want to say to what Susan said, Susan, I let go of so much stuff. And it was so hard during the process. Once I let it go, there's not a single thing I miss like that. I like feel like, oh man, I shouldn't have let that go. There are things that I now realize that I would like to try, but I'm just going to buy them again. I was always the person that everyone borrowed things from. And I'm no longer that person, and I'm okay not being that person. And I want to, try some things, and it's okay to go find that thing again, but I don't miss the craft supplies. They were such a burden for me because they took so much time to organize and took so much space. And I wasn't using the scraps of things. Like I saved everything, scraps of all the craft supplies. Like now we do a craft and I'll throw away like what's left over. I don't have the patience to save $2.50 worth of leftover crafts. That's just not worth it to me. I'd rather either we use up what we have, or I'll go buy a couple of things, but I don't buy all the things anymore. Like I don't go searching on Pinterest for crafts to do with my kids. I now look, what can I do with pipe cleaners? What can I do with the paper I have? Or I let them just be creative. I don't need Pinterest to boost their creativity. There are times I want to do like specific crafts, but it doesn't have to be that way. So it's just allowing yourself to be who you are, use what you have, and not necessarily keep everything you have.
Thank you, Anca.
Angie's asking, what does your homeschool area look like?
Here, I'll show you. That's my son's desk. This is my desk. And then let's see if I can, this is my daughter's desk. And I just got that bookcase, that short one today. And the rest of it is my decor mixed in with my supplies. And there's my pile that I need to declutter later. So it's a lot more. When I first started homeschooling, I thought I needed all the books, all the supplies, all the stuff that a classroom has. And I literally overwhelmed myself trying to find the stuff, trying to make it fit into my space that already had a lot of stuff. And my kids don't need it. Like I can now find, either I'll print up a worksheet. We have enough markers and crayons for a much larger class or many more kids. I've donated most of those. I'm keeping some, and then I'm going to reassess if they're still, if they still want them in a couple of years. That's what, just reanalyzing every so often. But I've let go of, it has to be just so, or if I don't have these, my kids will fail. And my kids have become a lot more creative in the process of letting go of the extra stuff because they could discover the things that they like. So when I find something new, I'm open to getting it, but I'm not I'm not keeping it like I was before. When we're done with it, it can move on to someone else. I don't mind like buying things now and blessing someone else with them when I'm letting them go, instead of feeling like I have to keep it because I bought it.
So before I was a professional organizer, I worked in a progressive school, and all of the neuroscience about pediatric brain development points to open-ended creative play for being the best for children's brain development, and which is like the exact opposite of what our society teaches us today, right? We always want like structured projects with like a distinct end, like finish point. And really, our kids' brains need that open-ended, creative, figure it out type of developmentally appropriate play so basically, the less you give them, the better their brains are developing. It's so ironic.
Oh yeah. So there are currently signs all over my house from my daughter's tea party this afternoon. And my son built a Lego ATM that is, you feed money into it, but it doesn't dispense any money because he's raising money for, he wants a toy. So he loves Legos. So he built a Lego and it says ATM at the top, and all these things that I didn't give them instructions for those. I didn't say, hey, go, lay out a tea party or build a Lego ATM. It's been amazing to see how it's affected them as well, positively affected them.
So Rachel says, you haven't talked about the financial impact of your decluttering transformation. Would you please touch upon that?
Okay, so when I first started, we did not have enough savings, and everything was really tight for us. And one of the things that Jess said was stop the flow, and really like caught my attention. And I did that for the first week of boot camp. And then I realized I had enough food for the whole week. Like I didn't need to go buy food. I didn't need to buy anything really. So then I kept extending that I said, okay, we're going to do a second week of stopping the flow in. We're going to find free activities to do, or we're going to use what we have. And I remember telling you that even with food, I kept this going. And my husband's like, can bananas be one of the things that we need and that we can buy? But up until then, I was buying extra produce. So like there were bananas always like going bad and nobody was touching them. So I was like, okay, I'm not buying bananas this week. We have other things we can eat. And I continued this. I decided to keep going with it for like, I don't know, 6 weeks or 2 months, where I was like, we're not buying anything. And it was like, I was a bit more strict at the beginning till again, I adjusted. But it was really eye-opening, and we were able to save money because my husband wasn't, he's our Costco guy, and I put him on a strict list, and I said, you need to stick to the list. Like there's no buying Costco sized snacks and other things that we don't need, and then I have to store them or we feel bad throwing them out. So just shifting our perspective to going back to what we need definitely helped us to save money. I stopped keeping track of it more like that specifically after that, but it did change the way I go shopping. I stopped shopping from everything. Like I wanted to take a break and just like kind of do a detox. So everything I did for Amazon sat in my cart for like a week if it wasn't a need. And then I was able to determine it was not a need, or if I wanted, if it was worth it. And I put all my wants on hold. So I wasn't buying anything I wanted, at least for then. And then I just became a lot more aware of what I was buying and what I wasn't going to buy anymore. I wasn't going to buy things that didn't serve a purpose for a long time. I just put all buying on hold, and it actually then made me have a hard time to buy things for myself. So then I had to readjust again and realize, okay, no, I don't have enough clothes that I like to wear. I need to, buy some clothes. And it's trial and error, but it's not, no, that's not the right word. It's lessons. It's really lessons of figuring out what does work in, to what degree do you have to take it? How strict do you have to be? If you realize you're shopping because you're lonely, if you're shopping because it's just like a hobby, then maybe try something else that doesn't create clutter, and call up your friend, go out for coffee, like do something different. And I realized I was shopping was kind of like where I went to like get a break from the kids, because I didn't have enough me time. So that needed to be adjusted. And when I adjusted that, I stopped being drawn to everything at Target. Like, yes, I still go in there and I can still appreciate and I still buy things, but it's not the same way. Like and I don't pass by clearance. I just know there's nothing there that I need. And I don't, I'm going to see the prices and be like, oh, I can get this thing that I don't need for 6 cents or whatever it is. I don't want to bring it home. So it's a matter of knowing where your weaknesses are and avoiding those things and redirecting to something else, like connecting with your friends, or finding something that you enjoy, or just taking a break to take a break.
I shall return in just 1 minute.
All right. If anybody wants to unmute, if anybody wants to unmute and ask me questions, because I cannot keep up with this chat.
Hey, Anca, it's Catherine. Hey, I'm enjoying your talk so
Hi,
much.
Catherine.
Thank you. Hello. And, I really like it that you're saying you got to figure out what works for you, what you love, because I always have those guilt feelings and everything too. And so I'm going to keep thinking about, what do I like? What do I want? But I hate cooking. I've already put it in the comments, and I'm just very, I'm not confident in my cooking and everything. And I was interested in how you do your meal prep and, planning it ahead and healthy options, like, can you share some of those ideas with us? You probably don't have time today, but, and I'm getting
it's very, okay. So again, for me, it needs to be manageable. I'm not one of those people that cooks like 6 full meals. Like that is not me. What I know that works for me is I need to have sauteed chicken, and then like potatoes and broccoli, or, sweet potato, or some other veggies that are roasted. And I can do those while I'm sauteing. And if I have those, mostly for me, but in our house, it's a little bit complicated because my husband says he's vegetarian, but he just wants carbs. So I do protein heavy for myself and the kids. And then I have veggies that work for him with his carbs that he prefers. So like I'll make him some rice, and it's not on schedule. It's when it runs out. So I'll just be aware that I'm running low on chicken, which I just did. And I'll keep my freezer stocked with chicken. I can pull that out in the morning, let it defrost. And then I know I'm batch cooking today, and I'll give myself, half an hour to an hour to do some batch cooking of things I enjoy. So if you can figure out, I would say like 2 or 3 recipes you love that are easy for you to cook, or start looking for recipes that are easy and try them out, but don't try them out in bulk amounts. Try them out in a smaller amount, see if you like it, and then see if you can make more of it so you're not cooking as often. Right. Because I do like cooking. I just don't want to cook every day.
Right. Yeah.
And that was part of it.
How do you store yours in the freezer? Like in gallon Ziploc bags, freezer bags, or do you have containers?
I buy the chicken I buy from Costco, and it's already, it's 6 packages in one, and that you just cut them, or you just freeze it that way. So I cut them up, and I'll do 2 of those bags at once.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's what works for me. Like it's, I don't know how much, maybe a pound of meat in each bag. I'm really not sure. But then I keep like foods from Trader Joe's for my husband. Like he likes the rice cauliflower. So I'll keep 3 or 4 of those, because I cook 2 of those at once for him. So it's figuring out the foods you like and then putting those in rotation.
Right. It's just so hard. Yeah, it does. It really does. And when your husband and son are like not as, they're not really caring about the eating healthy, they go for the flavor and stuff. So it's just like you said, I guess, figuring out what works for us. And having the healthier options, and hopefully they'll start wanting the healthier options too. But okay, thank you.
So I got my recipes. Like if I go to my friend's house and someone makes something really delicious, I'll say, hey, can you give me the recipe? And then I'll try it. And that's how I got to my recipes. It wasn't stuff that I looked up. It was stuff I had tried that I could get them to tell me what recipes they used and what seasoning they used. Because that was a game changer for me, is using a different seasoning on my chicken.
Mm-hmm. That's
Maybe
good
I'll
idea.
post. I can post and share the idea in
Okay.
with you
That
later
sounds good.
once I make it.
Thank you.
Sure.
You're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question I can help you, or something you're feeling stuck with? Go ahead and unmute.
And Anca is training to be a clutter coach, and you can see she is going to be absolutely incredible. So I just wanted to add that.
Hey, Anca, this is Susan again. Did you do an Amy list?
Did you get that, Anca?
Did I do what?
An Amy list.
Yes, but I use it now for reference, and I have a hard time. Anything tells me what to do. Like I don't do well with like setting things in exact order. So I have my list, and then I will look at it and realize I don't feel like doing this today. I need to more focus on the things that are getting in my way today. So I have a lot of projects on there for when I get further along and I have less of these things getting in my way. And I like having it, but I don't go through it systematically. That's not how I do things. I have to take the amount of time and energy that I have and then figure out, okay, I've got, let's say, 20 minutes of decluttering energy. Sometimes I start that and realize, nope, I have 10. So then I stop at 10. Sometimes I do 20 and realize I can do 20 more. So it's more about figuring out time, energy, and like I said, what's getting in my way right now. Anyone else have a question?
I was gonna say, let's go ahead and wrap up since we're well past an hour, but I know that if you guys have questions for Anca, she will happily respond to them inside our Facebook group. Just I'm gonna like take our 2 videos to start, and then this one, splice them together. I'm gonna post it into the group, and we can put all the comments and questions underneath that video. Anca, you were absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us. And the Anca of today is so empowered, and it just blows me away how your life has shifted in 1 year. So if there's any takeaway that you guys have from this, it's to keep pushing yourself forward, because your life you will be a completely different person 1 year from now. Just look at Anca.
Yes. Like I can't believe how different I feel and how I'm smiling more and just approaching life completely different than I was. So thank you, Jess.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for taking a chance and working with me. I mean, all right. So tomorrow we just have decluttering Q&A, our normal clutter coaching call at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then we're back to 2 more interviews at the end of the week. Thank you guys so much. This is an incredible reboot so far, and I hope that you're getting lots of motivation and inspiration from it. Thank you, everyone. Anca, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.